All right, happy Wednesday, everyone. Thanks for everyone joining us today for our next up webinar of what's new. I'm sure you all have seen the emails, but just kind of want to go over a few of our new releases today. A few pretty cool ones I want to point out, and some other things that are just add to the ease of use through the user interface. So as always, if there's any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I'll get to them when we can. You know, if there's anything that isn't clear, you want me to show a little bit more there, explain anything, I definitely will to the best that I can. So to get started here, what's new, what got released in about the last 2 weeks, probably actually 4 weeks, because I think we missed it with the Thanksgiving holiday a little bit back there. But we've added internal warehouse inventory editing and updated how that interacts with our committed stock for our internal warehouse source types. And go a little bit deeper on this, the actual source type, when you're creating a source integration, is going to start coming into play more importantly now. We're also working, just kind of a little sneak preview, we're working on a whole new source setup wizard that really helps you through the source creation process, gives you a very step-by-step process, asks you a few questions to make sure that you're setting things properly, configuring things properly, and getting you set up for success. So that isn't released yet, but just know that's coming. And then where these warehouse types or source types on the source creation page, that's going to start coming into play a little bit more. And I'll touch on that when we get to the actual dashboard and take a look at that. And for our folks selling on GunBroker, we now have an automated import of FFL information for the customer's local FFL for shipment import. So the folks doing that, you're not going to have to manually copy and paste that into the Flxpoint platform anymore. We will automatically import that if it is available when the customer completes the order at checkout on GunBroker. Another really big one right now is increased builder speeds. Throughout the product builder, listing builder, product rebuilder, or listing rebuilder, we're seeing speed increases up to 2 times. But also we're working on some more improvements where we should see some other significant increases into that in the next few weeks. But just doubling doubling the speed, cutting the time in half, speed increase there is definitely pretty significant here on this latest update. We've also added an estimated profit screen on all of the channel listings pages. So based on the product data and aggregate data that we have, we can show you estimated profits, plus also calculate your profits based on any fees that we can see on those feeds and take that into consideration. And then going into our kind of UI updates on all the drop downs and filters and mapping sets, you can see the data type of the field that you're looking to, which is definitely useful just so you know what sort of input we're looking for and what it's used for, whether that's a string, an integer, a key value pair, which we'll take a look at as well. And then also for all of our notifications now in Flxpoint, we can set a specific email override. So in case, you know, maybe you're highly leveraging notifications and you kind of want to split those up to go to the proper person who might be handling that on your team, you can set notification overrides for each individual notification now, which just allows you to better handle that within your team. And the big one, which I know we've been talking about for a long time and that's coming, is listing deletion. And actually when I made this PowerPoint this morning, product deletion actually just got deployed shortly ago. So a little treat there. We'll take a look at that as well when we get into the dashboard here. So let me go ahead and open up my Flxpoint account. And again, once I start diving into this, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to let me know. All right, so let's get started looking at our internal warehouse inventory editing and quantity updates that we have now. So if we take a look at sources, or I was talking about the source type here earlier, this is where it's really going to come into play for the internal warehouses, because we make some workflow decisions depending on what source type that we're using here. So for internal warehouse, we made the decision that this is going to be one that you'll be able to edit the inventory or source product data. Since this is your warehouse, these are your products. For any reason, if you need to modify quantity or product data at a source level, you can do that strictly with internal warehouses. And if we go take a look at what this looks like in the dashboard here, for internal warehouse, we now have an edit button up at the top. And from here, we can edit really any of these data points outside of SKU, because SKU is still always going to be the record of truth. But you can modify any of these fields here at a source level. We can modify cost, MSRP, if we need to modify any of these at a source level. Now, one thing to keep in mind when doing this is a one-time update. So if you have an automated get inventory running on this, the next time that get inventory job runs, it will overwrite any changes here. So the real big use case here is those oh no, there's a mess up in my warehouse, the proper quantity didn't come through or didn't get reported on my spreadsheet properly. You can come in, modify any of these fields as appropriate. Say maybe you need to modify your quantity here. You're like, oh, I actually did receive 100 of these. So we can update that here as well. And when you save that, that persists until the next get inventory job runs and potentially overwrites that. Now, let's say you just want to maybe have a small warehouse, handful of items. Maybe you just run that get inventory once to get that product data in, and then you no longer schedule that. That would be a case where you would just always come in, manually update your quantity whenever you receive a new shipment, or if you're not using committed stock, anytime you are shipping things out, you would come in and update this quantity. But the cool part is with the new committed stock functionality that we have set up is whenever you're fulfilling orders to your internal warehouse, we'll commit whatever you fulfilled out. And then, or when we've processed your warehouse, and then when you fulfill out that shipment, we'll actually deduct that committed quantity from your in stock. So we're almost keeping it in stock for you and keeping your levels in sync with those orders that are pushing through and deducting those as you fulfill those out. And in a case like that, that's where you would just use this edit whenever you're adding or replenishing stock into your own system. And just to look at those committed stock options here, that would be in settings under our source. And we have a commit stock function here. So we have two main options for our commit stock. We can release that committed stock whenever we see a quantity change from the source and after we get a shipment import, or we can do it strictly after a shipment imports. You would really use the shipment only one for your internal warehouses, since that's way, if you are managing your inventory strictly through Flxpoint, this would be the way that we commit that stock. And then when the shipments import, we actually deduct that committed stock from your total available. The commit stock for or release committed stock after we see a quantity change and after we get a shipment, that's really used for your dropship suppliers and trying to commit stock that way. But strictly for the internal warehouses, depending on the use case there, we would definitely suggest going with the release committed stock after shipment imports. And if you're unsure what to do in your use case, definitely feel free to reach out to our support team, and we'll definitely be able to take our knowledge and look at your specific example and determine what makes the best sense for you there. All right. And then going into GunBroker, I don't have a live GunBroker integration on this account, but for the folks using GunBroker, you're aware we have an additional FFL field that populates whenever you receive an order that's flagged as a firearm. And now whenever we import that order from GunBroker, if that is an item that, or an order that contains a firearm item, we will automatically import the FFL information and populate these fields in Flxpoint if that FFL information is available at the time of checkout. Because I do believe there's a process where customers can check out without providing it and then later add it. But I think in most cases, customers are adding it at checkout. So when we do import that, it will automatically come into Flxpoint, so you no longer have to copy and paste that. All right, so now jumping into our estimated profits. So I'm going to take a look at our channel listings here. If I click into an item, so we have two fields here. We have our estimated profit and then estimated profit with fees. So estimated profit is strictly, and we actually have a little tooltip here hovering over it, simply our list price minus the estimated cost. And if you remember from Flxpoint, estimated cost is based off of our aggregated rules, depending on how you set those up across your sources that all can fulfill this item. But we're doing a simple profit, list price minus cost to get here. And then we also have estimated profit with fees, where we're doing list price, and then adding up the estimated cost, estimated shipping, estimated drop ship fee, and subtracting that as well there. So you can see the difference here based on those other estimated fees. And again, these values here at the listing level, that's based on your product aggregation rules that you've set. So just keep in mind, again, this is estimated because these items could be available from more than one source, but based on your aggregate rules, this is a good estimate on what you could expect for selling this item. And then looking at some of our UI updates, I like this one just because I guess I'm a little bit of a techie here. But off on the left-hand side, you can see the data type that we're looking at for any of these values. And this is true in our filters and on our mapping template. So you can see if we're looking for a key value pair, a list, true, false, text, number, just the type of value we're looking at when we're trying to filter these values here. So it doesn't change anything else. You know, we just know this one, we're looking for a date and so on. Just kind of helps clean it up so you know what filter you're looking for. And also a really cool thing now is it's searchable here. So if I'm looking for quantity, I can start typing quantity in here and we can see quantity or pricing quantity depending what we're looking at, or if we're looking for title. So it's all searchable now instead of having to scroll through the big list to try to find it. You can just start typing what you're looking for and it'll filter down to it. And just to show as well, we have this on our mapping sheets. Whoops, not on this one though. All right. And then the other place we want to take a look at today is our notification emails. So if we go in the settings and notifications, you can see on any of these that you enable, there's now an override notification box. So say you have multiple folks working on your team, maybe working on different segments here, and you need to notify certain folks of different jobs that complete or certain notifications we have here. You can put in any override email, which will supersede the default notification email that you have at the top. So you can set each one to go to someone different and just kind of cleans up and helps streamline your workflows here. All right, any questions so far? Feel free to post them in the chat. All right, and save the best for last here. I think this is a lot of folks are looking forward to this. Definitely is super useful, is the listing and product deletion. So previously you'd have to tag these items, email our support team, get these deleted. We've done all of our testing. You know, I'm sure you're aware there's a huge web of connections running in the back end of Flxpoint. But now we have everything coded out, handling this properly, any exceptions. And it's actually really, really easy to do now. So any items we want to delete, let's say I want to delete these guys here. Go select them, go to actions, click delete. And you can see I actually selected 3 items that were listed, or 4 items that were listed. So we're going to get a little warning here that says, hey, at least one item that you selected is currently linked and listed on your channel. If we delete this linked listing, we will essentially abandon it on your channel, which means we won't delete it. We will just essentially cease our connection to it. So it's going to persist on your channel. We definitely suggest delisting items and deleting them, which will delete them from your channels before you go ahead and delete these. In most use cases, that's what everyone is going to want to do. But if for whatever reason you do want to delete them and abandon them, all you have to do is type abandon listings here. And then we have some confirmations here. You have to type the amount that you're going to delete. And that's only in the case if it's already linked. So if we find something that is currently not listed or not linked and try to delete it, there's no warning. You can delete it. There's no issues. It's not going to be abandoned on your channel because it's not linked at this time. So very, very simple. So if I just want to go ahead and delete that one, click delete listing. It's going to run in the background for a second, and now it's already deleted that quick. And if you do have, let's say we're deleting 50 here. Actually, I'm not sure if 50 will delete this. Actually, there's just 25. Yep. And it starts that process there. Pretty cool. And then we also have the same functionality now that just got released earlier today in the product catalog. So we have the same similar process here. If we go to delete, again, we got a warning here that, hey, you have some items here that are currently associated with listings. We strongly suggest delisting them first and then delisting here or deleting here. I would say if you have products linked and listed, the recommended workflow would be go ahead, delist them first, then go in, delete the listing, and then come to the product catalog, delete the channels. That's going to be the safest flow. Make sure there's no issues, nothing gets abandoned. You have more visibility into that. Okay, cool. We had a good question come in regarding the estimated fees here. So let's go back and pull this up. Is it possible to factor in sales channel fees into the profitability feature? For example, if a marketplace like GunBroker or eBay charges a percentage for each item sold on the website, then we need to be able to calculate that in the profitability report. Yep, there is a way. There's not right now a direct way to add that in. There is a way that we can possibly use some aggregate rules and custom aggregate fields to put that together to get that calculated into here. It would be a little bit gaming it on using one of these dropship fee fields or shipping costs to get to that. It is something we talked about and will likely come as a separate field in the future. But right now, it really depends on what the fee is and how it's calculated. And that's definitely one, get with a support team member to look at your particular use case and see how you're using these other fields to get it to work in your use case. But it is doable today. It just really depends on how that markup is calculated and how you're leveraging these other fields, but we can definitely get you there. And just wrapping up on this product deletion. Again, you can see here if it is abandoned, and then we're asking you to confirm that you want to go ahead and delete these. Plug in the amount you're deleting, and it happens like that. So super, super cool. You can handle this all directly within Flxpoint right now. That way, if you need to delete anything, you can go ahead and do it. You don't have to wait for our team or add the tags and communicate back and forth. It'll happen right there within Flxpoint. All right, well, that's all I had to go over today and what's new. I know we had some other deploys this morning with a few little tweaks. but we'll be reviewing those on our next meeting. I really just wanted to show the product and listing deletions today, because that has been a highly requested feature that is now live for everyone. So I'll give everyone else a minute here to post any additional questions. If there are none, I really appreciate y'all joining us today. And I believe we'll meet in the new year, actually. So hope everyone has a great holiday season and great New Year's. I'll be here for another minute or so. If there's any other questions, feel free to post them in the chat or the QA. All right, looks like that's it. Again, really appreciate everyone joining us today. Hope you all have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you next year.